So, some of you may be familiar with like phrases like locking in or the whole it is what it is. They kind of started off as memes and they were supposed to be funny, right? Like a way to poke fun of how brutal social life can be sometimes. But it's not really a joke anymore. People are actually starting to take in locking in too seriously. They're using it as a way to suppress their emotions, to act unaffected, to act unbothered, and it's kind of like a shield, you know? Now, suppressing emotions to look good isn't new, right? It's not like these like kind of like memey sort of like trends of like the whole locking in is what it is. Like, like these memes didn't start kind of like this whole revolution of people wanting to like be stoic or whatever. This has been a thing for a while, and I think trends tend to illuminate on pre-existing matters, right? And that's exactly what's happening here. These like memes kind of like made emotional suppression look disciplined, mature and respectable. I think like the whole suppressing of emotion kind of hits hardest is like to men specifically. It's not really exclusive to a certain demographic. I think everyone suppresses parts of themselves, but culturally, I would say like men are under a lot of pressure not to crack, not to not to appear fragile, kind of like always stoic or always composed. The common defense of a lot of people, like when they hear about like criticisms of like blocking emotions, is that if you show vulnerability, people will see you differently. And honestly, I'm not really interested in arguing against that, because I would concede that I think that's 100% true. Of course people will see you differently for being vulnerable or for being weak at times, right? I think that's 100% true. A lot of people will see you differently, and people will judge you. Some people might distance themselves. They might lose respect from you, or for you. And, like, this is not just like random people. I think this can happen with your closest friend, or maybe even the person you're dating. I think that depending on, like the personalities of certain people, even people you really trust, could start seeing you differently because you showed some vulnerability. You showed them that you don't have all the answers. I do think that there are some like psychological mechanisms that are relevant here. Like, for instance, Carl Jung talked about like ideas of like personas and shadows. And if you are familiar with like the Persona series, like the video game, the JRPG, some of like these mechanisms will sound pretty familiar to you. So yeah, Carl Jung spoke about things like personas and shadows. And the persona is basically your social mask. It's like a very polished version of you. The version that's optimized for social approval. It highlights your strength and it hides your flaws. And speaking about flaws, this is where shadows come in. Shadows, that's everything you don't want to admit about yourself, right? Your insecurities, your anger, your fear, your vulnerability. They all get suppressed in your unconscious mind. And according to Carl Jung, part of like the human condition is hiding the shadows, not only from other people, but to yourself as well. The persona exists to keep you socially functional, and that's fine. I think we all need that. But when you completely disown your shadow, your flaws, the whole like acknowledging your vulnerabilities, you start living through a mask, right? And everything just starts feeling fake. And that's what's really happening right now, is that vulnerability is being treated like a defect, right? Like, a lot of men are afraid that if they show their shadows, so like vulnerability, sadness, fear, confusion, their image as a competent, strong person will collapse. So they suppress it, they lock in, they do the whole it is what it is, it doesn't actually bother me. And when you suppress your emotions just to maintain approval, you're kind of this is the part that like bothers me specifically, and that's like the whole point I'm kind of making this video. The reason why I dislike this so much, the reason why I don't think you should suppress your emotions, even though I've already conceded that people will see you differently for being weak at times, is because when you kind of like do this whole performative thing where you're always like, you know, like nonchalant or stoic or whatever, you're kind of justifying your existence to other people. You're giving so much power and agency to people that would throw you away as soon as you show some weakness or humanity. And it's just like, are you really willing to betray yourself, betray how you actually feel, just for people that actually don't really care all that much about you? I think it's like one of the most disrespectful things you can do to yourself, if I'm being honest. You're letting their perception determine whether you're allowed to be human. That's insane to me. And I don't blame you if you do this, mind you. I don't blame you if you hide under personas, because that's what our environment has taught you to do. But if you just step back for a minute and like be an observer of your own life, is it really reasonable to hide behind a persona just so like these people that would throw you away feel a little more comfortable around you? To me, I think it's absolutely criminal, if I'm being honest with you. Like, why justify your existence to people who would discard you the moment you show imperfections? Why give them so much power over your own comfort? Vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's evidence that you're not living entirely through a persona. And if someone can't tolerate that, the problem isn't your shadow. It's that they're uncomfortable with people being human.